one of my fellow editors of Ideas and Answers, Joe Murphy. Joe, thank you for joining us. And we are also joined today by a special guest who I think will be very familiar to many of our subscribers and readers, Mary Shirley. We could spend a whole video, I think, talking about Mary's incredible background, but to give you some of the highlights, I think as most people know, she has co-authored the book, Sending the Elevator Back Down, which is a wonderful book, as is her latest book, Living Your Best Compliance Life, 65 Hacks and Cheat Codes to Level Up Your Ethics and Compliance Program. Joe has a copy there. It hit the shelves in August 2023. Both fantastic books. So Joe and Mary, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure, happy
So,
to do it.
our topic today, the three of us were pretty regular attendees at the various wonderful compliance conferences, whether it's in the US or even internationally, we get to attend a lot of those. And compliance conferences, professionally and personally, they can be incredible, they can be fulfilling, but compliance conferences for introverts can also be a little bit overwhelming. And so we thought we'd bring two friends in who identify as being introverted to kind of share your thoughts, your tips, your ideas on how can introverts get the most out of compliance conferences. So Joe, why don't we start with you? So, during the day at these conferences, what tips and tricks do you have to offer introverts when you're making your way through all sorts of different sessions and the networking breaks? How do you manage that? How do you keep your energy up as an introvert?
Well, my first piece of advice for introverts is first to recognize being an introvert is not a diagnosis. It's just a different approach to things. And since I'm doing books, before you go to a conference, if you haven't read it, read this book. It's by Susan Cain. It's called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. So the first thing to do is stop thinking about yourself as this is something negative. An introvert can do anything an extrovert can do, but an introvert draws their strength from being alone or being just one-on-one with someone. So I would say first, start with the approach that you're thoughtful, you're quiet, you need some time alone or you need some time with someone. You can perform all the functions, you can go to all the activities, but sometimes you need to just sit quietly. And I have in a book by Roy Snell, an actual picture of one of my favorite moments at a conference. And it was just Roy and me sitting on the side, having a nice, quiet chat. So I would say, don't be afraid or embarrassed about being an introvert. And just in general, take advantage of those skills that you have and how you apply them when you're going to a conference.
That's great. And Mary, one of the things I enjoy about the conferences is there's often a number of fun events in the evening, whether that's kind of less formal or sometimes vendors are going to put on events and they're great to catch up with friends or to meet new people. Sometimes those social events, as great as they can be a little bit draining for introverts, but we also don't want to miss out. So how do you manage kind of the social elements, but also you're often speaking at these, so you got to keep your energy up. How do you navigate that?
I think a lot of it is understanding your limits and knowing when it's time to go home and to finish up for the evening. And it can be tempting to want to stay on if the conversations are still very lively, if lots of other people are still there. But knowing that you might regret it in the morning if you don't get back to your hotel room to watch a little bit of Law and Order SVU as you get ready for bed and the next day of speaking. I think one of the things that was a lesson learned for me when I first attended conferences, and there was an event and it was on specifically for first timers at the conference. And I thought, how fabulous. This seems less scary for me. There are going to be people there that, are in the same boat as me. And what I hadn't thought through until actually later after the event was that there were a lot of that organizations in a circle. And so I had steeled myself to be ready to, approach people and start having discussions. And some of them didn't really seem very keen on talking to the newbies that were in the room. They were very happy chatting with their friend group, but were not that warm towards people that they didn't already know. And so part of that to me is a little bit of a know your audience as well, and don't be deterred from that. Be proud of yourself for doing something that is kind of scary for us, which is approaching a stranger and starting a conversation. That is not personal about you. It's that some of those people who may very well be introverts as well are feeling much more comfortable with the people that they already have established relationships with. And so you just cut your losses and try again with somebody else who's in a better frame of mind for hosting the energy to talk to somebody new. So remember that sometimes it's not just us that are the ones who are wanting to adhere to our inner introvert. There are probably others around us who are doing the same and just kind of surviving by attending perhaps a reception event that they don't even feel that enthusiastic about going to, but knowing that friends are already going to be there makes it easier for them to show up.
I think that's such great advice, Mary. I feel like also with those conferences at lunchtime, it's you kind of don't get to pick the table. You're just like ushered in the first available seat, and it's a I don't know anyone at this table, and that can be work for introverts. But certainly once you've been there, you've got friends. It makes it certainly makes it a lot easier. So Joe and Mary, thank you so much for taking just a couple of minutes today just to kind of chat about your thoughts and ideas. And certainly for our readers have any other advice or tips or tricks for introverts, post them in the comments to this video. We'd love to hear your thoughts. But Joe, Mary, thank you so much for chatting, and we'll come up with another video for ideas and answers soon.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Adam.
much.